What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another video. This time, let's do our honest review for Giselle, the third Aespa character to be released. Next one, guys, is going to be Karina. But Giselle, not really my kind of character, but a lot of y'all still want to see me pull for. And of course, with every limited character, if you have the means, you do want to pick up at least one copy of them and their artifact, because who knows when they'll come back, if they ever do come back, right? But we're going to do our normal thing, skill review, gearing guide, artifact suggestions, molas, all that good stuff. And before we start, let me know how your summons went. I finally broke the pity curse, and I got her in 90 and the copy of her artifact. So not amazing, but I definitely am happy that I didn't pity once again. If you haven't pulled yet, wait to see the full video to hear my overall thoughts on Giselle. All right, guys, let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all, let's go ahead and break down the two builds I tried in testing yesterday. I did end up trying, of course, a Bruiser build on the left-hand side there with Lifesteal Pen, and on the right, the classical just speed pen, lots of damage. Now, the left-hand side, when we were doing Bruiser builds, guys, I already knew from the get-go it probably wasn't going to be too successful. Giselle definitely wants to be run as more of a damaging, archetype-style unit, of course, and that's pretty apparent because her passives, she has no survivability, defensive capabilities really besides just that one cleanse she has on, I believe, the skill 2, whereas a lot of other style of mages can kind of be run in more of the Bruiser role. Look at units like Sage Vivian because they have powerful defensive passives. Now, Giselle on the left-hand side here, we went for a Bruiser build on Lifesteal, but if you guys tried counter, speed, or just maybe another, Bruiser build in general, like with some bulky stats, let me know how it worked out for you. But in my findings, it was just okay, right? She does have the, it's very risky. She does have that CR benefit. She does have the cleanse. She does insane damage on skill 1 and skill 3, even at lower attack thresholds like on my left-hand side build. But the fact that she has no defensives means she's very prone to just dying out of nowhere, unfortunately. It was fun, though. We did end up winning, a few matches. Actually, she was banned a lot, which was a little bit frustrating for me because I set up my drafts where Giselle wasn't really amazing, but my opponents at the Emperor and higher level were banning her out. I don't know if that was because of just fear of the unknown, but yeah, for some reason they were banning her out, so I didn't get to play her as much as I wanted on the left-hand side build. But yeah, let me know if y'all happen to work it out there. That was on Chatty, by the way, but you can probably use anything, really. Chatty just helps with some extra survivability because she has none. Now, on the right-hand side build, let's talk about it real quick. I don't have any imprints. I've seen people push higher than 5k, but typically you want to go for this kind of stat spread if you're going for a damage build. Really, guys, focus all on damage. Neglect any type of bulk, at least in my opinion, because the main, your goal, your strategy is going to be getting that combat readiness push. Develop your team around Giselle and another like attack up unit or like damaging unit, and then just try to cycle and outspeed, out tempo your opponent, and then hit them really hard. So maximize attack, crit damage. Speed not too important. We're actually on some attack percent boots here. Just I had some laying around, and the rest, guys, is all just attack, crit damage, neck, pen set, of course, with all damage subs. So that's really, we want to make sure we land that skill 3 kill, lead into a skill 1, right? Get some support for the team as well while we're doing it, and I think we really just want to max damage out. So very straightforward. You don't need these exact stats, but if you guys go for a Giselle build, you typically want that pen, probably speed, but anything really works as long as you can get your desired stat hold. Nothing really too tricky. Just she is sort of a gear-intensive unit, so try to maximize the damage if you're on the right-hand side build. For the Bruiser build, I don't know, guys. I wouldn't recommend it, but let me know if you had some success at all. All right, moving on from the stats, let's quickly just talk about Giselle, my findings, just her as a unit. Mainly, guys, so let's not talk about the Bruiser build because I think that was kind of just a test, more of a gimmick, just for fun. Keep in mind, like, I'll be talking about her on the damage build that I showed in the previous stat page, but as we all know, Giselle is a high damaging unit. Remember, though, that she doesn't give herself attack up. It's only after she does the skill 3, which will give her bonuses on the skill 1 and provide attack up to another unit on your team. So she does provide utility in that regard. But I'm going to keep saying it, guys. Make sure your Giselle has enough damage to land that kill. Otherwise, I don't think you're really using her kit to her full extent. So we want to just maximize the damage. Frame of Light, super hard hitting. Just make sure someone pushes her up and gives her that attack up, and then she can kill a unit and give someone else attack up, take the extra turn, lead into a skill 1 soul burn, and then provide more combat readiness for the team. So lots of utility, lots of damage, but you do need to make a team that kind of benefits her with all those kind of stat manipulations in mind, combat readiness, and then the attack up. The skill 2 is very, very nice as well because of the fact that we want a combat readiness pusher because of her slower base speed. This just makes it so easy. You can build her pretty slow on attack boots like I showed earlier, and then the chance to dispel one buff is really, really nice. It's a nice ability because there are a lot of times you're just stuck with attack down, blind, whatever it might be, that could really, really hurt your chances of killing a unit or hurting a unit, and she just doesn't have to worry about that at all if it's one debuff. So really like this ability. That does set her apart from other sort of nuking style units. And then I showed y'all the surging light, right? Big damage, especially when you soul burn it, and then it also has a combat readiness push for another unit. Now keep in mind, guys, I did Grace the Growth Giselle here, and I would not recommend that at all if you plan to use her seriously, as that extra damage on the skill 1 is so important to have. This thing already hits hard. You want to make sure you're doing as much damage with Giselle as possible, okay? So, in terms of skill enhancements, it's a easy plus 15, guys. I wouldn't really skip anywhere. I guess if you have to, maybe you could skip here if you're super strapped on Mola, just because, you know, sometimes maybe you have a different cleanser. Maybe you're using Amelia to push and she also cleanses as well, but I would try to get this maxed out as well, because in my findings there were definitely situations where it's Giselle's turn and I had a blind to provoke something on her, an attack down that I needed to get rid of for her to do max damage, and it came in handy. So if you had to skip, go there, but really she is a plus 15 unit. You definitely need the damage on skill 1 and skill 3. Next up, let's talk about artifacts real quick. So Chatty was just for the Bruiser build, remember, guys? Let me know if you did try a Bruiser build, but this was more just for fun. Don't take too much stock into the Bruiser part. I don't even think I'm going to talk about it too much here, because I don't think it's a viable strategy, at least not right now. So if we're talking about the damage nuking style Giselle, which is really where she comes, she's a natural. I think that's where most of y'all will be building her, on that high damage nuke style capabilities. I think a lot of people are going to start thinking, you know, let's read for some books. Tagahel Ancient Book is one of the best mage artifacts. Having souls is so powerful, and you know, Giselle can definitely make use of souls as well on her skill 1, or provide souls for another style or other damaging units in her team. That being said, I actually don't think Tagahel's is the best in slot for her, and instead something like Symbol of Unity or just a damage artifact like her own, something like Portrait of the Saviors, would be better, because I keep mentioning the skill 3. We want to land a kill with the skill 3 so that we get that extra turn, get that skill 1, do more damage, maybe even knocking out 2 units or just softening up another unit, while also providing that combat readiness push. If you don't land the kill on the skill 3, it's so bad. So Symbol of Unity, amazing. The hit chance, obviously very good as well, because Giselle is an earth type unit, and there will be scenarios where you are forced to hit, you know, fire type units, or units maybe with some slight evasion, like an artifact, whatever it might be. So Symbol of Unity, obviously the best. The fact though is Symbol of Unity is best in slot for a lot of characters, and we can only really run one at a time, right? So it is limited. If you can't run this, then go ahead and run something like Portrait of the Saviors, her own artifact, which I'll cover at the very end of this video. But give her some damage, and I guess if last resort you have nothing else, you could just run Tagahel's, as it's not bad, but you risk not getting that, securing that kill on the skill 3 if you're hitting a, you know, more bulky enemy. Last but not least, let's talk about Frame of Light, Giselle's own artifact. I think this is actually a very good artifact for her. It gives damage. If we will land that skill 3 kill, like I keep saying, this will help do it, because we get just straight up damage. She is only single attack, so that's no problem at all. And then we get a bonus of 10 souls, which means we can also just straight up soul burn into the skill 1 in case we don't have other soul gaining artifacts like Tagahel's. So this is very, very nice for her. I think the only downside of Frame of Light really is the fact that it is a limited artifact, where Symbol of Unity you can buy through other means. Portrait of the Saviors or the new, right, damage artifact, those are kind of more free to play accessible. You can get them without just having to summon and spend tons and tons of bookmarks. But the fact that this gives always the 10 souls regardless, and at plus 15 I believe it'll be 12%, it's not bad at all. If you get to plus 30, 16%, I think this will be insanely good for her, so that you can put Symbol of Unity on another character, right? But overall, I think Giselle is the only one that can use this. So if you're not planning to use Giselle, guys, the only reason I would say to take this artifact right now is if you're trying to future-proof for other style of mages in the future, because I can't really see one that would benefit as much as Giselle for this. Any other unit that kind of, you know, is a single attack mage, if we're thinking of units like Challenger, Dominion or something, a lot of times they really want to bring that Tagahel's book, where Giselle is really the one that can make the best use of this, because yeah, for all the aforementioned reasons. But overall, it is limited, so try to pick up one copy if you can. And if you don't plan to use it for Giselle, if you have to skip something, guys, if you don't have powder, if you're absolutely strapped, you probably could get away not having it because it's really just for Giselle at the moment, in my opinion. All right, so final take on Giselle. My findings were, guys, as a non-cleaver, but this is what I also talked with other, aggressive cleaver style players, is Giselle is very good. In my findings, the damage was on point. As long as you brought the sort of support that she needs, right? The attack up, the combat readiness pushing. She does an insane job while also providing utility for her teammates as well. So definitely good if you bring everything you need. The multipliers are on point. The damage felt so good, even missing some Molas on the skill 1, so you guys might even have better results. But the only downside I can say to Giselle overall is the fact there's a lot of competition for that sort of slot. If we're bringing a nuke style unit and we're bringing a cleave type team, there's a lot of other units that do a similar job and bring other things to the table. Just to name a few, units like Green Sid can also take out 2 units like Giselle wants to do, but also brings like speed imprint as well as elemental advantage, so he doesn't have to worry about certain things that Giselle might have to. Other units like Roy Mustang, if we just want to bring super big nuke units and are also bringing some souls, Roy Mustang a lot of times can just do a better job than Giselle at nuking down not just 1 or 2 units but the entire team. Not to say any of them are better or worse than Giselle, because Giselle definitely felt good. She does have the numbers to back it up. It's just there's a lot of competition, like I keep mentioning, so you may not need her. But if you don't have those units, if you like to play that aggressive style, definitely pick up Giselle. I think she is worth it if you can get all those eggs in a basket. And on top of that, right, Arena Guild Wars and maybe even PvE, I think she's super good. I heard she can do Banshee and some Nightmare Raid stuff like the bees. I think she can be very good. So Giselle definitely worth your bookmarks. You just may not need her if 1, you don't play that aggressive cleave style, or 2, you already have different styles of units that can fulfill that job that you prefer because of their other, the other stuff that they bring. But overall, let's just talk. I've been asking Car, if I could only pull Giselle or Karina, which one would you go for? The nice thing is we know just Karina's kit right now. We need to see her fully released before we can make an accurate, assessment. But just first glance, Giselle is more of aggressive style unit. Karina is more of a defensive anti-cleave or bruiser style unit. So just identify which one you think you either need help with more, or whichever one, fits your playstyle better. And the fact that they're both good in PvE, that's kind of a moot point. So don't take that into consideration. Karina seems like she's going to be good at like Wyvern tank or just being a defense breaker. And then Giselle, I mentioned, right? Maybe Banshee, maybe Nightmare Raid, stuff like that. So both PvE potential, but they're just polar opposite in playstyles. Just figure out which one you need help with more in terms of what you want to use proactively, or like, let's say for Karina, you want that anti-cleave potential as well. So just break it down in that regard, and then if you need any extra help, leave them in the comments below. But yeah, let's wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Giselle obviously looks great. Good luck on your summons. Let me know if you tried a Bruiser build. Let me know if you tried the speed build and how your findings are. Just talk to me. And yeah, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.